Hello and happy Foodie Friday. It's Christy J, your favorite realtor, and I'm coming at you today with some tips to bring new life to your leftovers. So hopefully everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and if you're like me, you have a fridge filled with leftovers and you're looking for things that you can use these leftovers with to make some new meals or possibly some pantry items. So I wanted to mix it up and give you a couple of different suggestions, not only, same old thing, reheating leftovers and having them for dinner. You can continue to do that, but I wanted to give you some suggestions to make a nice breakfast out of your leftovers, a lunch, and then a pantry item. So starting with the easiest, I'm sure everybody had some type of bread, rolls, something like that with their Thanksgiving meal. I had just a few rolls left over, so what I did was I took 2 cookie sheets and I put foil on the bottom of them. I sandwiched the rolls in and I put them at a temperature of about 300 in the oven, and I just toasted my bread. Of course, you can do it in the toaster. I just wanted to, put them in the oven all at one time and get them done quickly. I'm going to put those in my food processor, add some Italian seasoning, maybe some garlic, onion powder, and some salt, pepper, and then I'll put them in an airtight container and keep them in my fridge or in my freezer, and I can use them at a later date. I have some chicken patties that I'm going to be making later in the week, and I will be able to use those fresh breadcrumbs. If you buy them like at Nino Salvaggio or Vincent Joe's, they're going to be expensive to buy fresh breadcrumbs, so this is a very economical way that you can make your own at home. Buy a 99-cent, $2 loaf of bread, whatever your favorite is. Put it between 2 sheet pans, low temperature, and just keep an eye on it until it's toasted. Put it in your food processor. You can do them plain or add your favorite seasoning, and you have your own homemade breadcrumbs. So moving on, I wanted to show you what I'm going to be serving for lunch today for Kaden and I, and also for my neighbor who I cook for all the time. I'm going to just make a quick and very easy turkey cold chicken salad, and I'm going to serve them. Excuse me, I don't have my cameraman here again today, but I bought some croissants, so we're going to have a nice easy lunch, and when I pick up Kaden later, we'll have that for lunch. So I don't measure, but you guys can feel free to do that. I'm just going to plop in and literally plop in some mayo. And I told you the measurements before when you're making a vinaigrette or a sauce is that you're going to do 1-to-3 ratio. So 3 parts your fat or oil, whatever you're using, to 1 part vinegar. I'm going to go a little bit less on the vinegar just because I like this to be not as strong of a vinegar taste. You can add whatever seasoning you want to this. I like to put a little bit of celery salt. If you have not experienced or explored celery salt, please do, friends. It is such a great seasoning, and it really adds a lot of flavor. It's an easy seasoning too. So, and if this is too thick, you could always add some water. You can see that we just got this going here. I am actually going to add a little bit of water because I like it a little thinned out. So just a tiny bit of water. All that I have here, friends, is Hellmann's mayo. If you prefer the flavor of Miracle Whip, you can use that. I added red wine vinegar. Now it's a little bit thinner. And just so you know with your leftovers, I get the question a lot, how long are my leftovers good enough or good to eat and not make me sick? It's actually 7 days, friends. I know a lot of you are probably like me and you used to throw things out after 3 days, but nope. You want to count the day that you make the product and then add 6 days onto that. You can label it, which is what they do in the food industry, 6 days plus the day you made it. So 7 days total, and that's why if you're going out to a restaurant, they follow that rule of 6 days plus the 1 day that you made it. So don't keep your leftovers from a restaurant that long. Try to consume them within a day or 2. So all that I've added to this is some black pepper, some celery salt, which I said, try it in your soups. I even put it on eggs. Anytime I'm making a salad, I add it to it. Garlic salt and onion powder. And of course, as I said before, I like my dressings, which includes this type of dressing, vinaigrette, anything like that. I like it to be a little bit sweeter, and I try to cut down on some of the vinegar taste, which I know Marianne, my girlfriend, is shaming right now or shaming me rather. She loves vinegar. She loves when I give her a shout out in these videos too. So, all right, we're gonna mix this in. Now before you start adding your items to the salad, I want you as the chef to get into the habit of always tasting things. You want to make sure that you taste your dressing. You can see it here. And again, I thinned it out with some water, which made it for a nice consistency. It needs a little bit more vinegar and a little bit more sugar, I think. Sweeten it up a little bit. And like I said, friends, you want to go lightly anytime you're adding ingredients because you can't take it out. I mean, there's things you can do to mellow it out. Like if I put a whole bunch of salt in here, I can add some sugar and I can add more mayo and vinegar, and that would lighten it up. But it's just easier. Make a habit of going lightly and then adding as you need to. A little too much vinegar. So more sugar, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, but it's got a good taste to it. There we go. Technically, I should try it again, but I'm going to just assume my experience tells me that it is good to go. So now I'm just going to start adding my ingredients. What I have here is some turkey that I chopped up. I mixed it up, probably more white meat, but there is dark meat in there as well. I like a sweeter salad, like I said, so I add grapes. I remember as a kid when my mom would put sweet with savory stuff. I thought it was so disgusting. And as we get older, our taste buds change, and now I love it. So I have some grapes, fresh grapes, and then I'm also adding cranberries, craisins. I love almonds, so I have some almond shavings that I'm putting in here. Celery, because I had celery left over from my stuffing yesterday. Oh, I don't know about you guys. Stuffing is my favorite. I look forward to that every Thanksgiving. And just a little bit of chopped onions. So we got this in here, and I'm just going to give it a mix. I'm assuming I probably have too much dressing, but I didn't add all my turkey, so I have that I can add in. This is just going to be a nice, refreshing, chilled lunch. We've been having all this hot food for the Thanksgiving dinner and leftovers, and this is going to be really nice and refreshing for us. So, yep, too much. So I'm adding, or too much dressing in there. So I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients, just going back in. I should have gloves on because rule of thumb is if you are not heating food, you should wear gloves because any germs that you've had are not going to be killed in the cooking process. So, but this is just for primarily my son and I that are going to eat this. And I always do wash my hands really well. So, which you should do always. And when you're using cooking gloves, you should change them every little bit, like at least every half hour when you're cooking in the kitchen, just to get a fresh pair of gloves. Still a little bit too much dressing, and as this sits, it's going to look even more liquidy. So I'll later on add more fixings to it. But this is just a very easy, fresh little salad that we can use. And just to mix it up, like I said, we're going to have lunch instead of always heating up the leftovers for dinner. I know you can eat them for lunch, but this is just something refreshing to have. So set that on the side. And I said that I wanted to do a breakfast item for you guys, so I went ahead and did a little bit of baking of my pie crust ahead of time. You can use any crust you want. I tend to shop at Aldi's a lot. I love Aldi's. The chefs at school introduced me to Aldi's, and they have some great products. Their produce is always good, and they back their products. They do it 100% refund, plus they replace the item if there was something wrong with it. So not that they sponsor me or anything, I just think it's good, smart shopping sense, and they're economical. So I have a pie plate that I did blind baking. I did it for about 20 minutes at 375. I used my baking beads, and I stuck that in the bottom just so that the pie wouldn't lift up as it's baking. So poke some holes in there. I like to put, and I forgot this time, but put some wax, or not wax paper, parchment paper down, and then your baking beads, and it'll weigh it down as you're baking. So I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy quiche. Quiche is so easy, and it sounds fancy, and people think, oh wow, you made quiche. It's so easy, friends. Let me just show you how quick and easy it is to make it. I need water. I feel like I am parched. Okay, so I have ham left over from yesterday's meal, and I just cut this up in cubes. And I like to be really generous with my toppings in my quiche. So I am gonna just put a nice line of ham on the bottom. Wow. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see, but there's ham. You guys are gonna laugh at me. I thought about last night what I was gonna make today, and I didn't have any cheese, so I took my son's string cheese and I chopped it up. But hey, it just looks like regular cheese, right? Just use whatever you have on hand is always what I say. I'm just doing ham, cheese, and I'm gonna add, which is also cheese, some Parmesan to this also, Parmesan Reggiano. But if you have vegetables that are left over, broccoli would be great in here. Any vegetables, onions would be great, mushrooms, delicious. And I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of the parm on top. Again, all these guys, cheap and yummy. So when you're making a quiche, you can do, for every 1 cup of milk, you're gonna use 6 eggs. If you're trying to watch your weight, you can use less of the egg yolks. A lot of times I'll do 4 full eggs and then 2 egg yolks, which is really not much of a difference, but makes me feel a little bit better. So I happen to have in here 12 eggs and I have 2 cups of milk. So I'm just gonna put that in together. All right. I also wanted to mention, I have some notes here that I'm not following, and then you're just gonna beat this. Talking about the rolls that you may have left over, if you're not a fan, you don't use breadcrumbs a lot in your cooking, use those rolls and do what I'm doing here with milk and eggs and make some French toast. You can do an overnight French toast casserole and surprise everybody the morning after the holidays, like we didn't eat enough before, but it's not healthy. Every time I make these foods, I think of my friend Anna. She's always posting all her wonderful videos about making right choices. We didn't have the right choices at my household this holiday, and we won't for Christmas either, for that matter. But the other thing is, if you have cookies that are left over, you can take your cookies and blend those in a food processor and throw them in a freezer, and then use them when you're making a cheesecake, or if you're doing like the no-bake cheesecake, however you're making it, or if you need like a graham cracker type of crust, you can use your cookies that you put in your food processor and froze. Just add some melted butter to them, and that makes a great crust. So that's another thing that you can use. You can do the same thing with any cake that you had that might have been that you didn't utilize all of it, but not with the frosting, just the plain cake. So now I'm just gonna cover my egg and cheese mixture with my eggs. And then I like to put a little bit of salt and pepper on top of it. I do the seasoning last because, oh, that kind of went heavy-handed. Because when you're putting in the egg and milk mixture, it's gonna spread it and you may end up with clumps of seasoning just in one part of your quiche. So this is a nice way of doing an even distribution. And I love garlic salt. I use it in everything. So putting a little bit of that on top as well. And you are gonna bake this. I can't really tilt it because everything's gonna pour out, but it's gonna be beautiful when it's done. If I find my sides getting too well done, if they're starting to burn before the quiche is done, I'm going to simply take some tin foil and I'm gonna wrap it around the exterior just to kind of put a little shield on my crust so it doesn't burn. So as soon as, just keep an eye on it. You're gonna put it in an oven at 425 degrees and you're gonna go for 30 to 40 minutes. I suggest taking a peek at about 20 minutes and seeing if your crust is too well done. If you did not do a little bit of blind baking with your crust ahead of time, you should be fine. You shouldn't find it burning at all. I just like to do a blind baking at the beginning so that it gets more crispy on the bottom. But by all means, you don't have to. Open up your package of your pre-made crust, put it on the counter as you're mixing your ingredients up so that it's not as firm, so that you can roll it out onto your pie plate. Put your filling inside of it and then do your mixture of your milk and your eggs, pour it on top, and then put it in the oven 425, 30 to 40 minutes. So I hope you found this useful. I know we're gonna enjoy our nice chilled, I gotta put this in the fridge for about an hour, the turkey salad, but it's gonna be nice and refreshing, and I hope you guys found these tips to be helpful. So this is Christy J, your favorite realtor. I am not going to be delivering any of this food because I think you all have plenty of food in your refrigerator right now, but huge shout out and thank you to my friends Lisa Rodella and Tina Ritz. They were kind enough to give me references. So on my next video, I'm going to show you how to utilize those breadcrumbs that I made, and I'm going to make some Mediterranean chicken burgers, which is always a big hit at my house, and I hope that you ladies will enjoy it because I'm going to make some extras and deliver them to your household. So I will get in touch with you prior to that and make arrangements for the delivery. So again, I'm Christy J, your favorite realtor. The best compliment that you can give me is to refer me to your friends and family. You know me, you know that I offer great service, and I look forward to helping you and your family in the future and your friends. Thanks so much. Have a great day, guys.